All right, welcome everybody to Resilient Voices and Beyond. I'm excited for this episode and the guest that I have today. Um, just a wonderful person. She's impacted my life a lot and just being a role model and a mentor. But I'm gonna have her introduce herself. Um, all right.
Hi guys, my name is Whitney Snow. I have been in foster care several times throughout my childhood. So I would consider myself a foster care alum. I currently work for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, where I am in the CPS role. I will actually be celebrating my 10-year venture there in a month. So it'll be 10 years in 1 month, and I'm super excited about that. I have a husband and a son, and I live in Saginaw, Michigan. I am on the school board at Bay Area Neck High School, which is really awesome. I enjoy that role. I am also the secretary of the Carlton Recreation Department, where we put on athletic events for young people in the Carlton area, and we also do some type of activities with adults in the area, more community based. And then I'm also a part of the Carlton Athletic Association for the high school to raise money for the uniforms and needs of the high schoolers sporting events and stuff. So I wear many hats, but I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. Like that's great. Like I love that you are involved in the community and just, engulfed in just, people and that fact. So just diving into that, if you can, give myself and the listeners a little bit of what your story entailed. How did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so my mom had a really bad substance abuse issue, and a part of her substance abuse issue was her binge using. So if anybody's not familiar with what that means that she wasn't a everyday user, but she would go on long spurts of binges. So when she would do that, she would often leave my sister and I alone, which would bring us into foster care because that's considered abandonment. So my first time in foster care, my mom left me at an organization called the Underground Railroad where she had been staying. And she went out on a binge, and she had made up this elaborate story that my biological father had beat her, and that he was coming there, and that's why she left, and that she had to leave in a hurry, and she left me. So I went into foster care at that time. And then I ended up in foster care 3 more times for very similar events. She would leave me at my friend's house, or one time she left us at home alone, and I told a teacher, and that's how we ended up in care. So very similar situations. My mom was a great mom when she wasn't using. She was really fun. She was engaged. She participated in my schooling events. She coached my basketball team, but she had an addiction. And so she would sometimes do things like when we had, I think it was my 5th grade basketball team, she stole the fundraising money and disappeared for months. So she does things like that. So that's what brought me into foster care. My journey ended at 13, where my grandmother had took me in a guardianship. And that kind of ended my journey. My little sister's father, who I thought was my father, ended up taking her, and he cared for her. So she did not end up in a foster home. But throughout my stints, I did end up in a foster home until my very last time my grandmother finally took me, because at that point she had retired. My grandmother traveled a lot, so she wasn't able to take me prior to that. So my dad, so when I say biological dad, I'm meaning the man that gave me my life. But when I say dad, I'm speaking of my stepfather, who I was not aware was my stepfather until I got older. So that's kind of what brought me into foster care. And the way it ended was just with a guardianship with my parents. I had a wonderful foster mom. Her name was Ganola Williams, and I called her Big Mama. And I did not know she was not a part of my family. So that's how good of a foster mom she was. I thought she was just my big mama, and that was that. So she did a lot of visits with my family, and my grandmother would come over every week, and so did my stepdad and my sister. And so I did not know that she was not a part of our family unit for a very long time. I have 13 foster sisters and brothers, and we all speak to this day. It's really cool when I see them, because they'd be like, sis, what's up? And people want to ask me, like, how are you guys related? And it's really fun to kind of tell the story how we all came together. So I had a really good experience in foster care. I was surrounded by really good people.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. Um, going more into it, I mean, as you grew up and so forth, what did that look like? So you ended out your stint with foster care with your grandmother. How did those next steps go as far as high school, college, and so forth?
So throughout high school, my mom was clean for the most part until my senior year. So when I was in an 8th grade, my grandmother actually allowed me to go back and stay with my mom, even though she was technically legally responsible for me. So I went back and stayed with my mom, and high school was great. I mean, I was an athlete, I was popular. I got semi okay grades. I was probably a B minus C student. But you know, I tried, not academically strong, but I really did give a good effort. And I ultimately kind of grasped onto or latched onto a specific woman. Her name was Sonia Dudley. And she was my athletic director and track coach at Arthur Hill High School. And I kind of latched on to her. And with that, she kind of took me under her wing, and she showed me lots of things. And so I was able to play a lot of sports and get a lot of different scholarships. And ultimately I settled on a track scholarship to CMU. And so my senior year was spent planning to go to CMU, and my mom relapsed. And so I had this big grandiose open house, and I ended up with, I don't know, maybe $10,000 to $11,000 of gifts, in money, cash money. And my mom took me to the bank to put the money in the bank. And the day she relapsed, I told my dad to take me up to the bank to see if she had taken my money, and she took all my money. So the day that I went to CMU, I actually went there with $25 that I had from my last paycheck and a sleeping bag, because I didn't have the money I needed to buy all the stuff for my first day. I had to wait to that first week when my grandmother could come back and buy all the stuff for me. Her and my dad had put some money together to get the stuff for me. So I went to college and I worked, and I was a student athlete. So I would drive back to Saginaw. I had been employed with Bavarian Inn since I was 14 years old, and I would work on the weekends. So I would come back up to Saginaw to work and then go back to CMU to do schooling and sports. And that's how I kind of put myself through college. I was on scholarship, so I didn't have to worry about tuition or anything, which was great. But I had a lot of experiences. I mean, I come from a world where I really wasn't able to live or function around white people. So when I got to CMU and all my roommates were white, that was kind of weird. We had to get to know each other and each other's different cultures and how we work. And one incident I remember in particular is that she would wash her hair in the shower when she got in the shower, but then she'll get out and all her hair was all over the floor. And I thought she was sick. And so I had asked her, I said, hey, dude, are you like sick, or like, is there something I need to know? Like, why is your hair coming out like that? And she laughed, and she's just like, that's normal. And I said, well, if that's normal, that's scary. You need to clean out the shower. Like, you need to clean that out, because when I get in there, your hair is everywhere. And I didn't want to say nothing because I thought you were sick, you know? So that was a little different. But then she came back at me and said, I don't like how you wash your hair in the sink. I'm like, oh, I guess, okay, I can see where we're going with this. So we had to just get to know each other. So that was a little different. But my college experience was great. I enjoyed college. Track gave me an opportunity to travel all around the United States and compete against a lot of different people. I met a lot of wonderful people that I'm still friends with today. So I think that even with my experience with my mom, you know, I was able to be put in situations where I met a lot of great people that supported me throughout my career. Like I had a teammate and her mom, you know, I guess she told her mom, like, I don't have anything. She was like, Whitney don't never have no money and blah, blah, blah. So one day we were at a meet and she gave me a card and it had $100 in it. And I kind of looked at her like, why did you give me this? And she said, my daughter talks to me and I just want you to go get something. And so that was really cool. So I had a lot of great people that helped me. So that kind of sums up my high school and college.
That's amazing. I just, just summarizing what I heard, I hear that there was a lot of support. You had a village, there were people that were aware of what was going on with your mom and stuff like that. And to some part, you were aware too, and you didn't let that stop you, and that just speaks to your resilience and perseverance there. One thing I want to ask is, mental health wise, like and mentally, how did you cope with knowing that your mom was stable sometimes and not stable, and that yeah, you had support, but you didn't really have your mom consistently?
So I think mental health wise, that was a struggle because when you're younger, you don't really know what mental health is. And I don't know if a lot of people know that a lot of people, a lot of African American older generation people are not necessarily teaching of getting counseling and therapy and addressing your mental health. It was almost like it was a non-factor. You're okay. You just need to focus on what you got going on type of situation. So for me, it once I got into high school, I did start therapy with a school counselor, and I continued that until college. And when I got to college, when you're a student, you get free mental health services on campus. So I continued that throughout my college career. And then when I became an adult, I enrolled myself into, once I got some insurance, of course, I enrolled myself into therapy on my own. So I definitely believe that I struggled with like some depression. Even right now, I have severe anxiety, specifically around holidays, because my mom, when she used to go on her binges, it was often on holidays. For what reason she would just go off on her binges. And so with these binges, she would take stuff, would come back in the house, and she would look like a completely different person. And sometimes we would catch her in the house stealing stuff, and she was like a whole different person. And that scares me. And so even till today, like it scares me like that. I tell people my kryptonite is my mom. Like those visions and those memories scare me. They scare me. And so I have really bad anxiety. I have anxiety around people leaving me. I have anxiety around my son going places. I have anxiety with going around certain houses that I know my mom used to use at, because we will often go look for her, my stepdad, myself, and my mom or my sister. We would go look for her when she was on her binges, and my dad knew all the spots, and so he would pull up and we would get out and go in there and search and see if she's in there. And she wouldn't be there, so we'll go to the next one. So now as an adult, when I ride past those houses, like I want to burn them down. I get angry and I'll go completely different routes to stay away from those houses on purpose. Like I just can't. So I do believe that a lot of that unknown behavior and risky behavior and situations that my mom had put us in caused my anxiety. And I still struggle with that today in my adult life. And I just took all the coping things that the counselors had told me over the years and I put them to use. But the main thing is that I realized is that you can't lie to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. So a lot of people know when they're starting to spiral. Like I know when I'm starting to spiral.
Mhm.
So I can check myself. I usually just I stop. I call into work. I just I process, I go do something I like to do. So sports. So I'll go to the gym and play volleyball or go dribble the basketball or go work out, go do a Zumba class or something. Cause I'm more of a physical outlet person. So I like to do physical things. So I go try to do that and to stop myself from spiraling. And then I go make sure I talk to my therapist and tell her like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm noticing. And we talk through it. So definitely being able to check myself and be honest with myself is a huge, I would say a huge, I don't know, like factor in why I'm able to control my mental health now. And then also, I think that this one counselor told me that, and this kind of stuck with me, is the things that you don't handle will handle you. And I'm like, ooh,
That's
like
deep.
you are absolutely right. Because if you something happened to you and you don't handle that, you don't process that, it's gonna mess you up later down the line. And then you're gonna be
Mhm.
35 years old still trying to learn how to process something that happened to you when you were 14. So
Mhm.
that was deep to me and that stuck with me. And I was like, woo, like let me handle everything. So I am one that tries to address things as they happen. I when I have a confrontation at work, I address it as soon as it happened. Like if I know I did something wrong, I'm sending an email to my supervisor like, hey, I did this. Now what? What do we do to rectify this? So definitely have some mental health from, my childhood. But because of all of the great counselors and therapy that I've had, I'm able to cope with it. And I maintain therapy. So like even now, everything seems to be going great, but I have an appointment once a month. I don't get out of it because I feel great. I maintain it. I just go down to once a month. I don't just quit. So I can say that I've been in therapy since I was, I don't know, 15. So yeah. So to maintain it, it will be the biggest thing and to build a rapport with people. And therapy is another thing that a lot of people like, I just don't like my therapist. Okay, we'll shop around. That's not a reason to stop.
Mhm.
Shop around. It's like finding that perfect house. You'll find a therapist that will fit your needs and um that will connect with you because that's super important too. My therapist, her name was Robin. And that lady will tell me about myself in a hot second. As soon as I start a story, and then it sounds like to her that it's my fault, she'll cut me off and be like, "Well, tell me what you did." She's not scared to address me and tell me what I did wrong, and I love that because then she makes me take accountability and makes me process things, and
Mhm.
and that is what you need to look for. Somebody that's going to be honest with you. So
Thank you for that. It's a lot of, I like to say, like gems or breadcrumbs you gave me there. Just segue and saying I completely resonate with culturally growing up and everything like that, and just Black households and so forth that people doesn't people in that community don't really, I can even say, believe in the mental health um, arena and everything like that. I remember like moments when I was younger. I would get anger. I had a lot of different things that I was processing, and it was like, well, let's pray about it. And I'm like, it's a lot more than that. And I'm not discounting faith, because I'm a Christian myself, but it's a lot more to, depression and all those different feelings that, youth and, older alumni and people all over the world feel. And that is something that, I like to think is grown a lot more, but it still need to grow even more in the Black community. But also, you touched on different things that you do for yourself. You've learned a balance of self-care for yourself and what you need in order to continue forth. And I just want to commend you for that, and that's inspiring for myself. Um, going going into my next question, um, I know you went to school, you graduated. I know you have a couple of degrees, right?
Oh yeah, none of them is stupid, but yes, I have a couple of them.
uh, and that's awesome. So not only did you persevere through your childhood, through high school, through college, and break statistics and stigmas and labels. You went on to get more degrees, and you went on to just break those barriers and break the generational things that may have affected your family. Um, and that's awesome. So I want to talk about some of the advocacy that you've done. I know you've done advocacy and mentorship and different things like that. So if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about that journey and what got you into that.
Yeah, so my main advocacy is just mentoring young people, giving them the jewels, as you would say, breadcrumbs to help them succeed. Because a lot of times, young people give up and um, they just kind of be like, it's whatever. It's not even, I'm not going to be able to do this. But at the end of the day, sometimes it takes somebody to have been in that situation to help them understand like it is possible. You can do it. You just need to focus in on yourself, and you can do it. So I do a lot of mentorships within the community. The second way that I do advocacy is that I have participated in a lot of foster care alum organizations, one of which, an FYI, where I traveled to Washington, D.C. and was able to work alongside of our state representative and to work on different laws and bring different issues that children face in foster care to the forefront for for those politicians and to help them understand kind of what it is that we go through when in care, the things that I see now on the other side, now that I'm not in care, but I am working for the system, I am able to see things that young people are going through now and able to bring that to the forefront and communicate that with people that can actually make change. And so that's super important. That's huge advocacy. The other way that I advocate is that I do talk. I go around, I tell my story because sometimes people give in because people that in their head they're like people like me don't succeed. Well, I am those people and I did succeed and you can too. So let's do this. What are we doing? What do you need? Who can I connect you with? Who can I what information can I provide you to help you be the best version of yourself that you can be? And so I do that. But the main way at this point uh, is that I work in the basketball recreation department with the kids, the high schoolers, and I help raise money and I talk to the kids and I'm constantly in their face about their grades and how important it is, whether they go to college or not. You need this college diploma or GED. You need something. You can't just exist in this world. You need to be a part of something. So I do that too.
Awesome. That's great. You know, it's awesome that you're able to not just take your story and from that foster care side, but also just engulfing yourself in the community as a person that's out here in the world that has made it, went to college and that's working and just giving back to the community. It doesn't really have to be a specific demographic, but just helping those youth in the schools and so forth. Um,
Well, the goal is to be the person you needed when you were younger, right?
right, right.
Right. That's it. I mean, it's so simple. just be the person you needed. So that's who I try to be to kids. I pull them to the side. I talk to them. I try to level with them and make sure that they know that if you need something, you call me. Don't you go do nothing stupid. You call me, so, and that's the person I needed. So that's what I try to be.
That's awesome. Um, so just getting into my last couple questions here. What's next for you, Whitney? Like, what is next? What is this journey taking you on?
So I'm so random. The newest thing, I'm really random. The newest thing is that I used to bartend in Bavarian, so I am looking into regaining my bartending license. For some reason, the universe is telling me to do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but I am gonna go back. I am going to get my certification back for bartending. I have no explanation. That's just what it is. But my real thing is I enjoy teaching. I enjoy sharing my knowledge. I enjoy feeding into the new generation. So I am currently looking for graduate schools to go get a master's degree in criminal justice, so that I can teach at a collegiate level. So that is what I am up to. But also maintaining my home and being a great wife and being a great mother and following my son around and making sure that he has all his needs taken care of, and just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. So that is what my next step is. But I'm super excited to try to get that master's degree because I really found that I do really enjoy teaching, and that's something that I just newly figured out about myself. So I think that that's the route I'm going to pursue.
Awesome. And just my next question here is, COVID has happened. It's here. It has affected the world. And I know with, just living, working and everything, everybody has been affected in their different ways. And I kind of just want to ask you, as you've been, doing self-care, making sure that you on top of your mental health, being a parent, being a spouse, working and all the different community engagements that you're involved in. How have you handled this with COVID?
That is a great question. I believe COVID is handling me at this point. And I say that because I have severe anxiety around COVID. My son goes to school, and my husband's retired, so he's often home. But in my eyes, I am the one that's the risk factor. I am going in and out of people's homes, communicating with people that, new people almost every day. And so I am the one that is, if it was to come home, that I would bring it home. I did have COVID, and I thought I was dying. And I had rushed and created this emergency folder with all my banking information and my life insurance policies. And I wrote down all my bills so that my husband would know what I'm paying and what I'm not paying. Like, I really got paranoid about it. I have to go on anxiety medicine because I could not go in the grocery store and function after COVID because I was scared. People were in there coughing, they don't have their mask on. And in my eyes, if you roll up on me and cough on me, that's like you want me to punch you in the face type situation. So I really had to take some medicine down because I don't want to end up in jail. I really do like the life that I have, and if I go to jail, that might change. So I needed some help. So I did go to the doctor. I explained to her what was going on. I did have anxiety prior to COVID, but I think COVID absolutely elevated my anxiety. And then my father died, so that elevated it as well. He died in 2020, right at the beginning of COVID. So I've been struggling with the anxiety really bad since 2020. But I did go to the doctor. She gave me some medication that I absolutely love. I checked my side effects to make sure it wasn't making me a zombie or anything. And I just love it, and it has helped me a lot. And I do communicate with my therapist about my worries and try to eliminate those. But in this world, everybody's worrying. And it's anxiety. This COVID has everybody's anxiety high and everybody's kind of on edge because we don't know what's gonna happen. One minute we think it's over and then boom, there's another variant going around. So now you're like, okay, shut it down. And they're like, nope, we can't shut it down. So now you have to still function in this world with this new variant going around that's supposedly 10 times more um contagious than the last one. And then you got the new one. So it's constant change, it's constant worry, it's constant all this. And then my son goes to school and I feel like that's a Ziploc baggie of COVID. The kids are in this classroom. The only good thing about it is they do contact tracing and stuff like that, and they don't mix the classes together, which makes me happy. But it's scary too. So the best thing that I do is just remember that these are things that I can't control. I make sure I take my medicine so that I don't punch somebody in the face at the grocery store. And I'm continuously communicating with my husband. Like if there's a symptom, we're getting tested to make sure that we're being safe. My son does have breathing issues, so it does scare me that he would get it. Um, but we're just being safe, washing our hands, wearing our mask, and things like that. But it has increased my mental health a lot. And I'm sure it's doing that to a lot of other people. So I just encourage you to talk to somebody about that and make sure that you're processing that in the most healthy way that you can, because you can wear yourself into a heart attack. And that's the way I was headed. So I really did have to jump on that and do something about it. So that's how it affected me. My grandparents had it, and let me tell you what, those jokers beat that COVID like they were 25 years old.
That's great. That's great.
And the only explanation I have for it is that they are far more healthy than we are, because back in the day, they used to kill their own food and eat it and grow their own food and eat it. So they didn't have all the GMOs and the chemicals and hormones and stuff in their food. But I was really nervous because they're old. And I'm like, oh my God, they got COVID. This is about to be a wrap. Like, everybody, we need to have a family meeting. Like, we need to do this. And those jokers sitting over there like ain't nothing hit them. And then I'm like, yeah, they're about as close to slaves as we're going to get, because they're real healthy. So, yeah, so that was a relief to know that they beat it, didn't even have to go to the hospital. So, yeah, but COVID has changed a lot. It's changed the world a lot. We have to change with it, and then only know that we can't control everything, that we can only control what we can control. So that's what we need to focus in on, doing what you can to prevent your household from getting it.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
My last thing is not even really a question, it's more so a statement from you. What advice could you give to young professionals, to people that are thinking about, going to school, exploring other degrees, or just getting their first degree, because I know you have a couple, and for foster care alumni, what advice could you give?
I'd say pursue your dream. Do what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, you have to live with your decisions, whether they're good or bad. If you make a really bad decision and there's a lot of repercussion from that, you have to live with that. So do what makes you happy. For me, I knew that social work was where it was for me. Originally I wanted to work in the prison, and I still want to tap into that sector at some point in my life, but I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. So make sure you're doing something. Do not stop. Do not exist. Goals never stop. Just because you reach one goal doesn't mean that after you reach that goal that you don't need to set another goal. You always need to set goals. Always set goals and always strive for something. Keep going. Okay. The main thing about our population is that a lot of people don't understand is that when we fail, we don't have a backup person. We don't have a backup plan. And if we do, those people are minimal sometimes.
Yeah.
So they'll help you to a certain extent. And so that's why I strive so hard, because I don't have a backup person. I don't have that. If me and my husband fail, my husband's the same boat I'm in. If we fail, there's nothing. We just got to sit here and look at each other and figure it out. So what we do is we put in preventative measures. We try to find multiple streams of income. We save a lot of money because if something happens, we need to be able to make sure that our housing is not affected by that. The second thing, a piece of advice I want to um, give to foster kids is go after different things. So like right now, I want to do the bartending thing. Who knows? I might walk into a bar and they say, "Hey, we shorthanded." And then I say, "Hey, I'm available on Saturday. I can come help you out." I just made some money because I decided to take this $200 course. And you could do that. You can get a bartending job on the weekend, CNA license. I would do that in a heartbeat. Even though I'm in social work, I would go get a CNA license. CNAs are needed everywhere. So try to do multiple things. Find a certificate or a certification that nobody can take from you. That if whatever you're doing fails, you can always fall back on. Um, Try to do things like that. And then also don't let everybody push you into college. College is not for everybody.
Mhm.
And that's period. For me, I could do college. I was a college person, but one of my teammates who went to college, she shouldn't have went to college. That wasn't her route. But because of her athletics, she was pushed into college. And she failed out of college, and that's now put her in a spiral. So we really have to, you need to be honest with yourself. Like, are you good with your hands? Let's pick a trade. Find somebody that's willing to walk you through different trades that you may want to do. Shadow those trades to see if it's something that you like. Find something else. There's so much stuff to do. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then find a way to do that. Find whatever it is you're trying to sell and coin in on it. Get yourself a real estate license. Nobody can take that from you, and you don't have to practice it all the time. If you're going to college, get yourself a real estate license. You can sell houses on the side. Do stuff like that. Find different ways of income, not just the typical going to work 9 to 5, working at JCPenney's or Taco Bell. Find yourself multiple streams of income. And then to piggyback off of that, make sure that you are learning financial literacy, because a lot of foster kids do not understand saving and budgeting and people that work at Taco Bell can live a nice lifestyle and drive a brand new car. You just need to learn how to budget and understand what's important. Those expensive soy milks, unless you're allergic to regular milk, is not necessarily the best buy. Like making sure that you're learning to budget and utilize your money in an appropriate way. That way you can live the lifestyle you want to live. So those are the things the little tokens I want to put out there, because I think my mentor put that out there for me. So I'm always striving to get other little things. Like I have a side business that my husband and I run together. And I'm doing multiple different things at multiple different times. So we have different streams of income just in case one falls through, we got something to fall back on. So that's super important.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I hope that, some of those breadcrumbs you gave us, make a loaf for somebody that was listening to this episode. I just want to thank you for being a guest, and just, thank you for all you've done for me. I appreciate you. You helped me get through high school, helped me get through everything and become the adult, the young man that I am today. So I just want to be able to tell you that, and just to tell you that, I still think about things that you tell me. I remember the quote, you said, "Ain't nothing else back there for you."
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're gonna do, but it's a lot out there going forward,
Yeah.
and I use that on my day to day, and I actually use that towards creating this podcast. It was very important for me. I build a lot of connections and I build a lot of things as far as my network and going to a lot of places, getting people cars, and I was like, I'm at a place where, I've worked all these different jobs and done all these different things. And, I'm good at, advocating, speaking. I know it ain't the best thing to bring in revenue or anything, but this is something that is big on my heart. And why not invest in myself and invest in my future, and to bring something that can create a platform to share stories and to help people and to educate the community. And that's what I wanted to do. I started out 2022, and I was like, it's time for me to put some of those resources that I've created and not just settle in a job. I have time to continue working and also do this. So this is
Yeah,
kind of like a side hustle kind of thing. I was like, I could put 30 minutes a day towards this. you know
absolutely.
um, and
And I
and
because you have a voice, you have a story
mhm.
that needs to be known, because you never know how your story is going to affect the next person, and be able to motivate them to change what they got going on. So that's super important that we have people out there telling their story, advocating. So I think that's dope that you're doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to take too much of your time, guys. This is Resilient Voices and Beyond. I hope that you have a great day, great evening, great night. Whenever you listen to this, I just hope it's great. And also, as I always say, COVID is out there. Please be safe. Wear a mask, hand sanitize, but also wash your hands, because sanitizing all the time does not do it. If I'm not getting political. If you're getting vaccinated, get the booster, do what you got to do. But all in all, just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and doing the right precautions to just help everybody else. We are a society, we are a village, we all are, our own people and so forth. But it takes all of us to make this thing, work. So thank you guys for listening, and I'm out.